My name's Cynthia Schultz. I'm one of the co-founders of our initiative here to become a Blue Zone certified community. That's a long-range goal of ours, but we heard from the Vice President today on a call that we're doing really well. So with that in mind, I'm getting people to say, talk louder. With that in mind, we're going to get on with the program tonight. This is our second to the last chapter in this book. And if you're new, there's a couple new faces out there. You don't need to worry. There's no such thing as being behind or not doing your homework. You can come anytime and listen to what we have to say, and hopefully it's worth your while. And I know a lot of you are just dying to get home to watch the convention, maybe. So we'll get right on it. So once again, my name's Cynthia Schultz, and my partner, Bridget DeVol.
Hi, I'm Bridget DeVol. This is we are Blooming Zones initiative, and we're a group of people here in the Bloomington community. We are working towards becoming certified as a Blue Zone. And like Cynthia said, we had a meeting with the Vice President of Development at Blue Zones today. We get meetings with her about every month. And today we talked about moving forward with our meetings with our fundraising goals with our stakeholders, but we're also going to be inviting the community to be on these calls. It's a great learning opportunity, learning from her on what we could see happen once we become a Blue Zone.
Okay, so moving right along, you just heard from our trustee leadership team person, Tara, how important the sign-up sheet is. All those little numbers add up, and that's what the Blue Zones, the international community, is looking for, is there's enough interest for them to be able to afford to bring their team here, do the baseline study, and have us be successful in our objective, which is to increase the health and wellness of our community, not only ourselves, but everybody we live with. And so we're moving forward with that, and we take all of our data from emails and sign-up sheets, and Tara is our database administrator, and it all goes in there. So make sure you sign, even if you've already signed up before. So we're reading. I have a document, a book, the book. This is the book we're reading. Today we're going to be looking, it's called the 9 Blue Zones, 9 Lessons for Living Longer from the People Who Live the Longest. This is one of the very first books that were published. I think it was published in 2008 maybe. So we are now on our last Blue Zone. Each month since January we've been talking about talked introduction level in January, and then we went on to talk about the 5 Blue Zones. Who wants to try to name them? We have
Wendy.
Okay.
Wendy's always.
Okay, go for it. Costa Rica. Okinawa, Japan. Sardinia. Italy. Icaria.
Yes. Loma Linda, yeah.
Loma Linda, California. Icaria, which is an island off the Greece coast. It's one of the Aegean Islands. It's not all that close to Greece. It's actually closer to Turkey, believe it or not. So they have a real blended culture there, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It's on my bucket list to go to. I've not been there, but of course we've been looking at the pictures when we've been preparing for the book club tonight. So glad you're all here. Very, very happy to be here.
Thank you.
So I'm going to let, we've talked about the introduction, and I'm going to let Bridget take over so I can collect my thoughts.
Yeah, so who here has read the chapter on Icaria? Yeah. Okay, great. So this is probably my favorite chapter in how the chapter begins with the story about the man who is diagnosed with cancer, and he only has a year to live. And in that time, he decides to move back to his home in Icaria, and he wants to live his final year there in peace. And then he moves there, and he lives a year, and then he lives another year, and he lives another year, and then he lives a full life. And the chapter, it goes into how just a change of pace, a total shift in how he lived, shifted his health outcome and his ability to survive this cancer. Do you have something to share, Wendy?
Well, at the very end of the chapter, when he wants to go and see his doctors, told him that he's in good health.
Yeah.
Okay, at the very end of the chapter, when he sees his doctors, he goes to them, and what did they say?
They're dead.
Oh,
The doctors
he
are
forgot
dead.
to die.
The doctors.
The doctors are dead. That's true. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so true.
Yeah. So I mean, I love that story. I've read the book multiple times before we even started the becoming an initiative, and so it's always nice with preparing to be in front of all of you to reread it and like to be like, oh, that's so good. So yeah, that's what I love to start with. So we like to go over the. We like to use the Blue Zone secrets that are in the very back of each chapter, just sort of as a guideline of talking points. So the first one that's brought up is to drink goat's milk, which not everyone like. I saw some people go like this, which is the normal. I actually like goat's milk if it's really cold. I like it really cold, but and I love goat cheese. But Cynthia has a good story about goat's milk.
So there's people in the room that know this story already. They're related to me. And he's smiling real big in the back row. So when our children were born, when we owned the Story Inn in the early days, our first child, Benjamin and my first child, was lacto intolerant. He had constant earaches, fevers. And you can imagine that made him a really cranky baby, right? Poor thing. And he wasn't really thriving. And we learned that when we tried to wean him off of breast milk, because I needed to go away sometimes. He was very intolerant of cow's milk. He got even sicker at that point. So we consulted some specialists, and they said you need to find goat's milk. And this is 1978, 79. Goat's milk was not available unless you knew somebody who was raising goats. So we lived out in Brown County, and my dear husband actually had a full-time job. He used to have to be he managed to crew in our restoration business. And he used to have to be on the crew at 7 o'clock. He had to get up like 5 o'clock in the morning to milk the goats. And the funny part of the story is I told him, I just don't know how to milk the goats, honey. I'm already milking. You're just going to have to handle this, you know. And so we weaned first our firstborn son, then our daughter, and then our youngest seamlessly from breast milk to goat's milk. And while we couldn't cite any empirical studies for you tonight, there's certainly a lot of evidence that it's much easier to digest. And I'll leave it to Bridget to say why, because she's the chemist when it comes to food, and I just make the stuff.
No.
Did you want to say something, Tara?
It's just that my mother-in-law was diagnosed with brain cancer 5 years ago, and she has done a lot of different alternative medicines. But one of the staples has been that she switched to goat's milk. Not that cured her, but she has had no growth.
Okay, her comment was her mother-in-law was diagnosed with brain cancer 5 years ago, and while Tara can't say that it was the goat's milk, she's had no recurrence since then. She's tolerating it much better. So that may be incidental, but there's no question it's easy to digest.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's, especially for babies, somehow, for whatever reason, in 1978, it was so clinical.
Yeah, it was.
Still, they often didn't get the real colostrum for a very long time.
True.
And so you get more bacteria that are good bacteria that go in your gut and help you digest it. And you know the center of your immunity is in your gut. So this is like in the last 5-10 years they've actually nailed that. If you look on the NIH, which is like PhD medical papers from
National Institute of Health. Yeah.
are in the library on the NIH. You can get on your phone if you ask the questions, you can read the first 2 paragraphs and the last paragraph.
they're referring to.
Actually, and yours wasn't even pasteurized, right?
No, but don't tell anybody because at the time we owned a restaurant, and boy, did they watch us. We tried to sneak our farm eggs in on. Ooh, they would send the food cops out and look in there to see if they were all stamped. And I'm not. I have people here that can. It was crazy. But in case you don't know, if you run a commercial kitchen like this one, like ours there, and certainly the way we run our kitchen when we do the workshop, since we're both certified food handlers, right? You cannot have unpasteurized products and distribute them. And if you have somebody pay for them, you're in really big trouble. You can give away things, but you cannot enter into a trade agreement with someone that has unpasteurized milk product. There are some exceptions to that, and we won't go on into that tonight. But we can talk more about that. And did everybody hear her comment? Okay, do I need to repeat anything she said? Okay. In summary, this NIH site has specific data on why this is true.
Yeah.
Do you want to say anything more about that?
No, it's perfect.
Mimic mountain living. Well, so the Carians, they have to walk up and down hills to get anywhere. It's very, very hilly, very marginal, and on many of their paths, they don't have all paved roads like you would expect we do here. Particularly inland, they're just glorified, paths through the woods, through the mountains, through the rocks. So they get a lot of exercise. They spend a lot of time outdoors, farming and walking between the villages, which are not the clusters of some houses we read. It was a 15, 20, 30-minute walk to the nearest neighbor. So they're very isolated in that culture. In addition to that, this fits nicely with something we've talked about before. There's those 9 principles that the Blue Zones research team found to be common to all Blue Zones. This is the reason why they're related to one another. And one of the 9 is to move naturally. This is a great example of a culture and a location where people just can't hop in, call an Uber and get going. It doesn't work like that. So that's the skinny on mountain living. And of course, many of you have ever visited mountains. It's a wonderful place to be. So I think they're probably happy too. So eat a Mediterranean diet. Nobody needs to be told about a Mediterranean diet because we've heard this in the popular media for some time now. And so what you can say about the Icarians is that they eat a Mediterranean style diet, and those diets are known for their use of olive oil, right? Their high propensity of beans and tubers like potatoes, sweet potatoes, and lots of vegetables and fruits, right? Those primarily are the primary qualities. But I wanted to say a little bit about olive oil. I learned this as a chef. Most of us don't realize that this is not just true of olive oil, but most olive oils are not, what we call chemically not stable. And that means that if they're exposed to heat or light in some cases, they actually, now this is a chemical term, so don't go ew. They actually become rancid. And it's not the kind of rancid you're thinking about. It's just a term that we use in chemistry, food chemistry, to indicate that it's no longer good for you to eat it. It actually tastes different if you have really sensitive taste buds like I do. So don't store your bulk olive oil right next to your stove top, or under your hood where you bake underneath it, in my case. Keep it in a cool spot. Keep it in a jar that has got some tinting to it, helps. And use it real fast so you have to go get more. Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
so.
I love to talk to. I work with clients on diet and lifestyle, and one habit that I've adopted over the years, and now it is to make my own salad dressings, getting the purest form olive oil, and then herbs and spices and a really good balsamic and apple cider vinegar. And now that I've done that, I can't really go back. Well, like I brought that I brought that salad dressing today, and I was like, ugh, I forgot to make my own, so I grabbed some at Aldi, and I was like, I can't do it. But it's also just higher in nutrient. You know, it doesn't have all those additional words that you can't pronounce that you're putting into your body. So I can't say enough about that. Because when I work with clients and talk about healthy fats, I'm like, well, get your daily dose of olive oil. And they're like, do I just drink it? What do I do with it? So like talking about like making your own dressing, I don't know, it's something that I live by and love.
And to that end, we made all of our dressings at the Story Inn. I actually learned to make vegetarian-style dressings when we way back in the day, like eons ago. There was the first vegetarian restaurant in Bloomington was a macrobiotic restaurant first. It's called the Earth Kitchen. Some of you, I remember you from there, those days. It was soon thereafter, the Dow people opened up their own restaurant as well. Both of those were great eateries, but I cooked in the kitchen while I went to college, and I knew nothing about making dressings. I came from a meat and potatoes family. You know, I didn't even know a person could make dressing. And so one of the things we have on the docket for later this year, likely first of next year, is I'm going to have a dressing making, or salad dressing making workshop,
And
because
dips.
it's so simple to do.
Dips with your guys' pesto.
Oh, yeah, we still haven't been able to. Some of you probably are going to just roll your eyes when I say that. We brought pesto to one of these meetings to share, and we promised all of you, if you were here at the time, that we would send it to you.
We have the recipe card made.
But, the maker cannot agree with the author about exactly what is in the dressing. Well,
Okay.
we're going to work
Okay.
this out.
Yeah.
It's a family matter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Love it though.
Yeah.
But and one last thing I'll say too, it's like anything too. People are like, oh, you take the time to make your own dressing. Like I don't have time for that. It's like anything. Once you get used to it, it's like you whip it together in 30 seconds, and it's
Literally,
it's great.
right
yeah.
on the spot.
Yeah.
And there's tricks to doing this fast, because let me tell you, if you run out of dressing in a restaurant and you own the place, you're going to figure out how to make it pretty fast. And if you live in Story, Indiana, which is 20 minutes from the nearest grocery store, you're not running out and getting any, right? Yes. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, you can, but not quite as quick. I can really whip up a
Yes.
cream-based dressing fast.
Yeah. Yeah. I do the same thing. I get really excited about little cute things, jars. Yeah.
Yeah, little cute things. Oh, spoken like a guy.
Cute jar. Yeah. Tara?
One of the things from Bridget's workshop that I picked up right away was fresh lemon, using it in the tahini.
Oh, yeah.
I started buying back the fresh lemons, and I've been making a fresh lemon dressing because when it was replace waste. So use all the learnings, but that's one of the tips.
It tastes so different than any other tahini dressing that you would ever buy, too.
And so what we'll learn in the class, I'll share with you, is basically what the primary components. We're not talking about ingredients. We're talking about components. So what Tara is alluding to, by bringing lemon into her household and using that in the tahini, which we make at home too, and in my case, in lots of salad dressings, lemon is an acid, vinegar is acidic, right? So anytime you see vinegar in a recipe, you can replace it with an acid, and it doesn't matter what the acid is unless, of course, it's toxic. So we'll learn about what the replacements are, because I used to be known as the garbage patch cook, because I, like Tara's family, I don't like to waste things. And being in the restaurant business, you can easily waste your scrap if you're not really good at. So we're going to start learning some really cool ways to integrate and replace things that just will become secondhand to you. So we probably need to move on. Is there any other questions on this topic? Okay.
Good. Oh, herbal teas. Okay.
You're the herbal tea girl.
Yeah, so we talked about it a little yesterday. So yesterday, for those of you that haven't been in the loop, We hold usually 1 to 2 cooking workshops a month. We've been doing that at the Banneker Center. Yesterday we had our Mediterranean cooking workshop. I called it that, but really it was mostly recipes from Ikaria, Greece. And one thing that I featured, we do a trivia during each workshop, and because we were going to feature Tashora's mushrooms, but since she couldn't come, I was like, oh gosh, what am I going to feature as a prize? So I did herbal teas, because herbal teas, I love this part of the learning about Ikaria, because this is sort of how my mind works in terms of food as healing, and is the way that they treat or take in their teas is they rotate throughout the day different types of teas, or if they're needing a specific type because of they understand what their body's telling it, maybe they have a cold that's coming on, maybe their stomach's upset, they'll go with a peppermint tea because that's helps with digestive health. Maybe they're feeling a little brain fog. In that case, they might do sage tea. So like using herbal teas with the medicinal properties based on what your body's telling you. And I thought that was really cool, because I do that too. Is anyone tea lover, use teas for that reason?
Avery?
Yeah.
I was interested that they were using, I guess I never thought about sage and rosemary.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're great teas. They're
Sa-
medicinal.
Sage.
They dry it?
Sage, yeah.
It
they'll
didn't
do-
say.
Well, you can use fresh. We grow sage and mint and all those things, and you have to put the dry. It's going to atrophy some, so it's not going to be as strong, but it's more condensed in terms of volume, right? It just has the moisture out of it. So you have to try. It's good to start modestly if you're using fresh herbs. Like we grow peppermint, that if you put more than 2 or 3 sprigs in it, you feel like you're on fire. It's coming out your ears. So just be aware that dried or fresh, they both have their advantages and their cautions.
But
And
yes.
go ahead.
You can order online. I've also found a blend. I don't have the name of it, but at the Farm Stop downtown, there's a blend there that the tea makers that they work with has sage in it, and sage helps with cognitive function.
Yay.
And a rosemary specifically for anti-inflammatory benefits.
And there was another hand in the back.
Yeah.
They're shaking their head. No.
Avery? No?
No, were you going to talk about your tea making every day? It's been covered.
Oh, man.
He's our tea maker. He used to make me show him how much to put of everything. Now he does it.
I remember
Yeah.
when my daughter used to go to an Amish family.
A Amish family. Her daughter went.
That was my babysitter when I went back to work. So
Oh.
Mommy Carol took care of her.
Aw.
But they use tea a lot of times with their babies with comfrey.
Yeah, but comfrey is a great baby pacifier. It's also, it's so amazing. The more you learn about herbs and medicinal applications, it's amazing how there's these things that are, what's a good word for it? There's these themes that jump out at you. For example, comfrey is considered a really good, if you steep comfrey tea until it's really strong and you put a cotton towel or a linen towel in it, when women are nursing, I don't know if you're not a girl and have never done that, it's often very painful at the beginning because you're not used to having anybody pulling that hard on your body, right? And so comfrey compresses are one of the ways that in the past people have soothed that aches and pains and made new moms feel better. And we also see a population after a winter period. There's usually, if you look at birth stats, there's a higher number of births, like in the summer after we've all been hunkered down under the covers. And oddly, comfrey, it when it's best to harvest it is in the late spring. So I always thought, I bet that's in the great plan of things. I bet there's something meaningful to that. Oh, my favorite. I have to talk about this.
Yeah. Oh, Lisa, did you have something to share? Yes.
Oh my gosh, yeah. In the tea bags. The tea bags?
Yeah.
I love you guys. I'm always learning stuff. That's my favorite thing about teaching. When I was at IU, I learned more from my students than they learned from me for sure.
Yeah. So you're saying, Lisa, that the stainless steel balls are safe, and you find are the safest way to steep your tea.
And she's also saying, which was what shocked me, is that there's microplastics in the tea bag, the bag that I use every day. I'm so on that. Thank you. I've got the stainless steel ball.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to start looking. That's
Yeah.
a great
It's maybe
piece of
something to
information.
research which companies are more.
Uh-huh.
So, but realize that it was used as medicine, so more is not always better. So you just, be reasonable. I have a friend who thinks that more is always better, but when you look it up, you ask, say, Google, what is the chemical, what are the chemicals in this kind of herb or tea, and, what are the benefits, and it'll intend, go to a serious site, you don't want to just go to a sales site, and it'll tell you, so you know what it's doing. I mean, it's what they got, what pharmaceuticals got their idea of, the high power things, and then they twist it a little bit so they can sell it, because they can't advertise it and have it be theirs and patent it without it being slightly different in nature. But, it's a serious thing, so.
Thank you.
Great comments. Once again, really, really happy you're here. So, I like to talk about this. I was the kind of person, I grew up oldest of 8 children. We were comfortable middle or class. We had everything we needed, but nothing more. And probably the big more was we were privately educated, and my parents swore that's why they were so poor. There was 8 of us. So, to that end, I grew up being a workaholic. I'm highly driven. I went through burning the candle at both ends, would not nap, despite I had a husband who was raised in Europe and was at 29 when I met him, was a napper. And I just couldn't do it. I wasn't going to waste the time. Well, I got seriously ill when I was in my late 40s with cancer. And as we know, cancer is a disease that is characterized by a failure of your immune system. We all have cancer cells, but those of us who are lucky they take over. And the way they can take over and dominate and kill you in some cases is because your system is so stressed out. You're not resting enough. You're not exercising enough. You're not meditating enough. That you've run your immune system down, and then the cancer, the poorly differentiated cells that are in all of our bodies start having a happy dance. They get together, and next thing you know, you're ill. So I started napping after that because my doctors told me, they said, if you keep going like you're going now, you're not going to be alive in 5 years. And that was almost 25 years ago. So this really makes a difference medically. It makes a difference in your cognitive abilities, and especially if you're an aging person, like we all are, but some of us are farther along than others. Naps.
Yeah.
And don't nap 2 hours. That's the other thing I've learned. Well, I will say, for me, that if I nap more than an hour, then I'm tired when I wake up, and I don't ever fully recover my zeal I have in the morning. So you need to curb your napping. Don't nap from 2 to 5. That's fun, but don't do it. And it reduces heart disease. That's really good in my family. We have a lot of that.
Yeah, I just want to touch on sleep in general. Like, I really wish I would like to switch out a few of the 9 pillars, or maybe like 2 of them, and put sleep in as one of the pillars. Because if you study all the blue zones, they rest in a way that most of us in the U.S. do not rest or make rest a priority. And that's something that I've had to learn because I too have been a workaholic. And for years, I thought I didn't have time for more sleep than 4 or 5 hours a night. And then my mid 30s and early 40s hit, and all of a sudden, I saw a huge difference in the days, my mental clarity, and how I functioned when I got more sleep. So then I had to realize that sleep hygiene is something that some of us learn and have to work really hard at. It's not easy for everyone. So I love talking on the topic of sleep because it's so valuable. And I just read recently that sleep is the only way that your brain actually lets go of toxins. So it's a time for your brain to take out the garbage. So
What did you say those were called? The brain garbage or trash zombies or something?
oh no, we were talking about something else.
Oh,
We were talking
never
about
mind.
or no, we were talking about zombie cells, but that was during the fasting part slide.
Oh, so then this is a nice segue into fasting. I'm going to let you go because I loved your story about that.
Well, there's a lot of controversy around fasting, and people do it the wrong ways and then have negative health outcomes from it. I fast myself. I've researched a lot. I do these 48-hour fasts for dopamine resets. I'm all about brain health, so if I'm starting to feel a little foggy, I prep myself for a 48-hour fast. I make sure I have plenty of healthy fats and clean proteins leading up to it, and then I'm really diligent about the water intake. But fasting for me, I do find a lot of mental clarity. If I'm feeling that I need time to detox my body, it's really positive. Cynthia today, we're talking about how it says periodically cutting calories by 30% is the only anti-aging process in mammals. And what an added little tidbit to that information is that when we fast and when we give our body a break from processing calories, it actually stimulates autophagy in our bodies, which is essentially your body creating new cells and getting rid of the zombie cells, the bad cells that.
Zombie cells.
Yeah. So yeah, I love that about fasting, and it's hard. It's not easy. I coach people on fasting in a healthy way too. Yes. I do water, tea, or coffee, and no sugar, no milk added to your tea or coffee, and supplements are okay. Like, research the supplements that you're taking. Yeah, supplements are actually good because you're getting the nutrients. Yeah.
Did everybody hear the question, comment okay on that one?
And then it's really important when you come out of a fast. A lot of times when people come out of fast, they want to eat like their favorite things, like pancakes, or like pancakes are my favorite thing, so that's what I go to. But it's really important when you come out of a fast that you stay in a healthy baseline with your insulin levels. So when you come out, having foods that are essentially healthy fats and lean proteins, with the carbs that you take in for the first day being like cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower, so that you're aiding your body when you come out of it. Because if you go right out of a fast with a lot of sugars or pancakes, yeah, you're instantly going to have insulin spikes, and all the benefits that you were striving for in your fast are gone. Yes. Yeah, 2 days usually.
Okay, so the question was, did she fast for 48 hours, 2 different days, or 2 consecutive days?
48,
Yeah.
yep, 2 days.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll fast. I'll end at like 7 p.m. I'll stop eating, and then I'll start eating usually. I have to write down the math, but 48 hours after that is when I eat, and I'll come out of the fast with I do it like once a month. But I do intermittent fasting. My body, I feel the best if I stop eating 3 hours before I go to bed, like most days. I stop eating 3 hours before I go to bed, but I have water or tea. Then from there, if I finish eating at 7, I usually don't eat again until around 12 hours later. That's like my daily sort of intermittent, just to give my body time to not process calories for autophagy reason. That's what I do. But I do have, I'm a coffee drinker, so first thing in the morning, it's black coffee on those days.
If I could only be so disciplined. So that's it on fasting occasionally, but we keep hearing this over.
I will say that one last thing. Don't do your research, work with someone if you can, and fast in a healthy way. That's what it was.
Yeah. Spoken like a true health and wellness coach. So this is a theme that we see almost in everyone. It's not exactly the same thing. They have different traditions, but this is just, we read a lot in newspaper right now about loneliness and isolation and how it affects people's mental health as well as their physical health. So once again, we see an example of a culture that frequently visits in the late afternoon with neighbors. So that doesn't mean that they're going next door or looking over the fence. They're walking somewhere late afternoon. And one of the stories we saw in the film or in the book, is all kind of a mix to me now because I've seen so much content from Blue Zones. The bottom line is a lot of times, particularly in European cultures, whoever's coming over is bringing their homemade wine jug with them. And they're not, this isn't a commercially distilled wine. It is homemade without chemicals. And so they drink the jug between them, and now everybody's hungry and tired, and they go to bed. And then the Blue Zone book cites a study that was done where they realized that they followed. I think it actually was 148 different studies in this macro analysis, and they did a 7-year checkup after that and found that 50% of the people had died in the group. On average, 50% less people had died if they were socially well connected. I'm not making a whole lot of sense, but you get the idea. Yeah. I think the closing comment in that chapter was something like, get out and do something. Okay, we started this little segment last month. Did anybody read the paper that Tom Duffy submitted? It was very clinical. It's very long. Did anybody get to it? I haven't gotten
in
through
the
it
newsletter.
Yet. Yeah.
In the newsletter.
Yeah. No, we shared it.
Oh, last month.
Yeah, last month.
Sorry.
But I challenged the people that were here last month. Some of you were here, some of you weren't. It's the way it works every month for us. To see if you could come up with some things that you came across that you thought would be of interest to share with the group. And so one of the things I found out, I actually got an email from the Blue Zones people and said, find out if there's Blue Zone prepared meals in your area. Put your zip code in for a store locator. Guess what came up? No. She said Blue Dot. You're funny. No, actually it was Fresh Thyme. Our Fresh Thyme grocery store, and I have not been in there. I just found this out this weekend, has several, they have a grain bowl. They've got some kind of a chili. I just glanced at them. I want to go and buy them and try them. So I'll bring you back my expert opinion about it. And, pardon me? I don't know, but I sense from what the description is, they're dried and they're that type of a meal where there's a condensed grain and maybe dried fruit or dried vegetables. I don't know, though. I actually don't know. Does anybody?
We didn't. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's what I saw was a bowl.
Wendy.
Wendy, thank you. I know Wendy's name. But
Sorry.
So she mentioned that it's an oatmeal bowl with fruit in one of the bowls. I saw a bowl in the list, but there's only like 3 or 4 things now. They're just starting this line, which I think they'll do really well with, frankly. They got a great brand to begin with, and I think it's a good idea.
Which Blue Zone is oatmeal a longevity food that they eat every day? Does anyone know? Yep.
Yep.
Loma Linda.
And we have Loma Linda, California. The Seventh-day Adventists are big on oatmeal, and we shared with you one time. I made, with the help of my family, made the oatmeal breakfast bars that can be made into cookies or what is it called?
They're breakfast cookies. I think they're called.
Breakfast
Yeah, they're called
cookies. They're just delightful. They're easy to make. It's oatmeal, applesauce, honey, and cinnamon, maybe.
Banana.
Banana.
Yeah.
Banana, oatmeal, applesauce, banana. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks gross in the jar, though. But it's really good for you. Yeah, so did you hear what he puts in it? It's yogurt, oatmeal. Is that chia seeds and cinnamon. So can I ask you a question? Is it the steel cut regular oats or the quick ones, the ground ones? Okay.
But not the steel cut either.
You can't do the steel cut. Yeah.
It's like the whole grain.
Yeah. Not steel cut and not instant oats. I have to admit, I'm lactose intolerant, so I avoid that jar that's always sitting right in the front. But it goes away every week, and so I know the rest of the family's eating it. What else we really talk about?
Mother Hubbard's Cupboard.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm in a new slide. Mother Hubbard's Cupboard is having their 8th annual garden gala. The mission of Mother Hubbard's Cupboard overlaps a lot with what we do here with Blue Zones. We really like what those folks are doing. They're growing food. They're giving cooking classes. They're giving away food to people that that have less food than they need. It's a great organization. I wanted to give them a shout out. Is anybody planning on going to the? It's on this Friday. It's going to be at the Hub. Yeah, which is it's out on Elm Street. If you are so inclined, the food will be great. There's a raffle. There's music. There's drink coupons. I don't know what kind of drinks it is, whether they mean alcoholic or not, but it's promised to be good. I'm looking for someone to tag along with because I've so far don't have a date yet.
Number 3, I actually have something Tashora brought that I'm going to pass out. So Tashora brought, so one thing I love about this group, we all come together and we have things to present, but then we find that you all bring things to present as well. So Tashora brought these little pamphlets, tiny, that say free Tai Chi class every Friday, weather permitting, at Butler Park, 10 a.m., 812 West 9th Street, and yeah, I think that this is great because I've never tried Tai Chi. So
I love it. It's hard though. It looks deceptively easy. So I'm really excited to share with you the next our guest speaker today. Thank you so much. Yeah. So,
I'm Michelle Henderson, and I'm going to be leading a workshop series in September. So this is kind of an FYI. There'll be more information about it, but I just wanted to give you a quick overview tonight. It'll be based on this book, which is called The Blue Zones Challenge, and Morgan Stearns has kindly ordered extra copies, so if you want to get the book, you can. However, you don't have to have the book or read the book to join the group. I'll have every week a handout that's like this, that's kind of a synopsis of what's in the book. So if you want to get the book, I would recommend it because there's a lot of worksheets that you can fill out and ways to track your progress and set goals. So there'll be a lot more that you can do with it in the book. And although they call it a 4-week plan for a longer, better life, this book actually includes ways to track your progress for a whole year. So it's a good value. But like I said, it's optional. This workshop will be held at the Monroe County Library downtown, the downtown branch. It'll be in room A, and will be from 11:45 to 1:15 on Fridays in September. You don't have to remember all of that because we're going to be sending out more information. But I did want to just let you know that that's coming up for those of you that, if you're free on a Friday around noon, and there'll be refreshments too. Yes. No, because this isn't going to be about cooking. The different sections are helping participants change their diet, increase their activity, update their living spaces, and build their social lives. So it'll be more of a discussion. Anyone obviously can talk about the progress as much as they want. You can also keep your own progress. It's not like anyone's going to hold you accountable or ask you to weigh in or anything like that. It's just a chance for people to kind of set their goals, talk to each other about how it's going, and hopefully kind of inspire each other and share resources. So I think that gives you an idea. There will be refreshments based on Blue Zone guidelines, just like a snack kind of thing. Yes, they will be the Fridays in September, which are September 6th, 13th, 20th, and 27th, from 11:45 to 1:15 in the Monroe County Public Library Meeting Room 2A. And like I said, we'll have more information on in our newsletter, Facebook. So there will be information about this and about how to sign up and participate.
And we hope to publish the link. We will publish the link when we send out we send 2 mailings a month for those of you who haven't been here before. One at the beginning of the month, basically heads up, save the date. It's kind of like a flyer. There's not a lot of information, but there's lots of links to sign up for different things or to contact somebody for more information. The one in the middle of the month is a more newsy one. I'm long-winded, so they made me, they put me off until the middle of the month. So that's kind of my baby. But at any rate, I'd like to thank Michelle for stepping up. Michelle sits on our steering committee, so she's with us periodically when she's got time. She's a busy professional at the university, a PhD in education. I was a really smart woman, and she's sweet as peach. She's really nice. So I am going to take the challenge course because I'm undisciplined.
Yeah. Okay. Before we move on, thank you, Michelle. I'm really excited about this. And so, Tara, I don't know if you want to sit and talk about Weed Wranglers or if you want me to.
Really fast, because we got about 5 minutes left.
Okay, we have only a few minutes left, but Tara's on a really exciting project as well.
And this is something that you could do on your own. We are starting a new Weed Wranglers program at the RCA Park. And they have done it in the past. In 2022, I think was the last year. But it's sort of been dropped at this point. But through Adopt a Green Space, working with Jillian Fields, I did my first weed wrangle, not this last Friday, but the Friday before. And it was really more of a profound experience than I expected it to be. I showed up, immediately they looked at my clothing, looked at my hat, tried to make sure that I was covered so I didn't get poison ivy, and I could reduce the exposure to ticks and insects. And then they said, we're going to look for one non-native species, which was Japanese stiltgrass. They showed me what it looked like, and then they were not kidding. By the end of the hour long, I can see now Japanese stiltgrass no matter where I go. I see it everywhere in my own yard. And it is one of those invasive species that deer don't eat, and our pollinators do not eat, and it's taking up space. It's taking up a lot of space in our green corridor. So this is, it's a big goal, and it's hard to link it in. But what I experienced going to the weed wrangle was a sense of community. It really gave me a sense of purpose I hadn't had before, because I don't really like to work outside. That's not my thing. I don't like bugs, and my skin's very sensitive. But by the end of it, I definitely know I'm going to go again. I realize they have weed wrangles nearly every day in different parks around Bloomington. And I was amazed that there are people in their late 60s and 70s that are getting down on the ground for hours at a time, several times a week, pulling all of these invasive species, and they've dedicated several years to this now, and replacing it with native species. And it's not just about the plants, which is what I kept thinking, well, who cares if there's native or non-native species? It's about the pollinators. And what I really had not realized is that because we have so many deer in Bloomington, I was told we have the highest deer population in the city of Bloomington than any other city. That I was told that by a forester here in town. They eat everything as soon as it comes up. So they said we have to replace these non-native species with native species. And the part that comes in with Blue Zones is sense of purpose, a sense of belonging. They're all very friendly and welcoming. And the third thing really is natural movement, making me get up at 5 o'clock on a Friday night when I'm usually watching the news, or watching TV, and getting out there and working. And I was sore the next day. It's a lot of work.
Thank you. When Tara first brought this idea, I wasn't so sure that I would like to do it, but after I heard the way she responded to it, I tried to write about it a better job than I did the first time in the newsletter. So there's a little bit of her story in there, but I just love the fact that it's a meaningful experience, and that you said something to me that you might not remember. She said something like, you did mention it's not about the plants, but she said you see a lot of things, a lot of little things that are bugs and things you don't even ever look at. And she was enthralled. I thought it was just lovely.
And I do love hiking. I do get outside, but not down in the weeds.
Dirt.
So thank you so much.
Okay. Do we have another comment that was over here? Or are we good?
Penny, who's actually in charge of our social media, asked, how are we going to find out about that? Well, I'm going to get information to you, Penny, and Penny will be posting on social media. There should be a little bit of content on the last newsletter.
There was.
So just watch for sometimes newsletters like ours, like every other newsletter you get. You have to scroll through. Now that you've heard this bit of information that's interesting to you, click on the link and learn more. Good.
And sign up and come out and play with us. Oh,
yeah.
Work. That's work, right?
Yeah. So
did you have another comment?
Can I just also ask for everybody to invite like 3 people
Oh.
to the Facebook page to kind of build those followers?
Yeah. So you hear this all the time. Yes, Penny's suggesting that we invite 1 to 3 people to follow us on Facebook so we can because I know you know how those networks work. Your network's connected to, mine's connected to Tara, and hers is connected to someone else. And so you get a lot more exposure for these types of information if you.
Yeah, and it's Blue Zones Project Bloomington, Facebook. Yeah.
BZP Bloomington.
Okay, so we are running out of time. The last thing I'm going to say.
I can say something real
Yeah.
quick. You were promised the BZI progress report for the first half of the year. We went back and delved into the data some more and did some updating. I'm going to release it. Tara worked hard on the data analysis on it. Our friend Landry Culp, who's not here tonight, wrote the report, and we shared it with Margaret at the VP, and the mayor's going to get it next week. So I'm going to send it to all you. If you don't like to read reports, you'll probably just skip it, but I wanted you to have it. And we have our walking groups. We're introducing more walking groups next month too.
Yeah, and then I didn't get to say anything about the cooking workshop. Did we skim
I
past that?
jumped over it. Do you want me to
Oh,
go
yeah.
back?
Last thing I'll say, cooking workshops are going great. We are shifting gears. We're going from Banneker, which is where we've had been holding our workshops. We're shifting to 2 new locations, so watch for details on our social media. Where our next cooking workshop is a free workshop. We're halfway sold out already. It is at the Southwest Library. There's parking, it's free, and it is an insulin balancing workshop. So I'm going to be going over foods. It's not only what you eat, but how you eat when you want to balance your insulin, and I'll be going over that, giving some handouts, and I'll have some food to try as well. And then from there, I'm not going to say anything else about the other location because more information to come. I just am really grateful. Thank you to everyone who came. We thought we were going to maybe have 5 people because of the
Debate.
The debate. So I
is
really
that what it is?
appreciate
It's
such
a
an audience
It's not the
tonight.
debate. It's the
No, not the debate.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah.
yeah, you know, political thing that's happening today.
Okay, and once again, thank you. If you didn't sign up on the sign-up sheet, it's over on the table over there. Go forth and enjoy your beautiful lives.
Thank you.
Bye.